なぜ私がこの町を選んだかということなんですけどね。
The reason why I chose this town is that, as I said earlier, that it's where my mother came from, and the work that I've done as a designer, and I wanted to create something that I use Japanese kimono. And that's what I've been doing all my life. So I wanted to come back here and start again. So that was my original plan. And so I went back to where my mother came from, where she lived, and I looked at the environment, and I just found it really interesting. So let me go to the next slide. So it's in Tohoku, Akita. So it's north of Honshu. It's in the Tohoku area. So it's in Akita Prefecture, but on the south side of Akita, it's in the Senboku Plain. There's beautiful spring water and rich nature. From Tokyo, it takes about 3 hours and a half. Sorry, I mixed my language. It takes about 3 hours and a half from Tokyo. So it's about an hour on the airplane. Then can we just look at the next slide? This is me. So the girl behind this young girl is me. You can tell how old this photograph is, and I'm not telling you. It's about 50 odd years ago. So in this Misato town is my mother's hometown, and this old lady here was a tailor, so she was working with various ladies, so creating kimonos for celebration, kimonos for weddings, for example. Then I grew up looking at her working. And so I lived in England for 30 years, and before I moved to Japan, from the kimono that I inherited from my grandmother, I owned quite a lot of them. So I took them. I had them in England as well. And I actually created crafts using these kimonos from my grandmother. So I wanted to get back to where she came from. So the kimono and creating something from the kimono was my inspiration to move back to Japan and doing what I do now. And can you move to my... Yes, thank you. So the population of this town of Misato, you can see it's gone down so much, and I mean the number most of the population is elderly people. So people want to go to a higher education in this town. So there's a area called Rokugo in this town. So the town, most inhabitants are teachers. So there are people who had higher education. However, there are no jobs in this area for these higher education people with higher education. So they just leave town the population is practically very old. And also people who want to come back to this town after retirement. It seems to be more popular each year. And can you just go to the next slide? So people who I have contact with, they're mostly in their 40s. And they live with their parents, their children, and themselves. So 3 generations are living in the same house. And some of them have got a business from way, way back from previous generations, and sake producer, and also sweets, patisseries. And also there are people who lived in urban cities and came back to this town. And the slide, next one, please. Can we just go to the snow bit? Yeah. So it is surprising. There's a surprising amount of snow. It's just way, way deeper than average person's height. So we've got shorter spring, shorter summer, shorter autumn. But we appreciate the blessing, and there are people who are living in this environment, with this environment and the nature. And the quality of snow, it's really wet. The snow is really wet, so that means it's really heavy. It is because of the global warming. Years ago, the snow was much lighter and drier. So the snow didn't pile up, it was more flaky and light. So once it was like that. And let's talk about the sake brewery. So this beautiful spring water and rice, and so they produce beautiful sake called harugasumi, which is spring mist in English. So sake making really starts after snow. Can we just move on to the next slides? The first batch will be bottled before spring and just for the distribution. In 1874, it was established in 1874, and it's the 7th generation is making sake now in the same place. Back in the Edo era, there were 20 sake breweries in this area, but there are only 3 left. But the sake are exported abroad, and actually it began recently. There's a group of people called Next 5 who are working in the brewery. It's a group of brewers in this area in Akita. And they are promoting their sake in Asia, Europe, and America. So they're actually distributing and exporting sake to the world. And let's move on to the next slide.
empty and abandoned
So
house.
empty and abandoned houses.
Okay, so 年々増加していく
So there are more and more empty houses,
ホームなどに
and the elderly people are moved to
誰も
nursing
住まない
homes. So these houses are abandoned without
現在
anybody
の都市に
living
住
in.
む次世代たちが
And the newer
彼の大
generation
変さを理由に
living in the urban area
あれで
are
家を
just decided not to do anything with the houses, so the houses are left to ruins.
町は空き家バンクなどを投資
So the
移住推
town
進のキーポイントとして
council
イノベーション大
are
学
trying
教
to promote
海外の
these
普及を図っています
occupation of these houses and paying, covering the renovation and also covering the moving fee so that they can have people in the town.
実際さっきもお話しした通り
But as I said earlier,
温暖化で雪の
because
量を
of the global
理
warming,
由
the
に
snow's getting heavier.
それで雪下ろしの
So it
手間
is
や
really hard to remove snow from the roof, and also the cost is getting higher and higher each year.
そのため使い切れな
Therefore,
く
so the house is totally habitable, but they just have to take them down just because nobody can use it or is using it.
しかしながらもう手に入らない
But there are
欲しい
amazing buildings that you can't build anymore.
私なんかから見ると
So for me,
の
I believe we could do bold renovation using these houses beyond the traditional definition of the Japanese classic houses. So there are great houses that we could do a lot with.
はいじゃあ次、やぶ前に行きますね。
Let's go to Yabumae.
そんな中、最初に始めた
So the first
リノベーショ
renovation
ンプロジェ
project
クトは
that we started is this Yabumae.
元はお米屋さ
It
ん、
used to be a shop selling rice.
向かいにある美味しい
Opposite, there's soba
お
restaurant.
母さんのって言ったで、
So this house was where the lady in the soba restaurant used to live in. That's where she came from.
彼女のお兄さ
When
ん
her elder brother
他界された後
passed away, the family was wondering what to do with the house, and then they actually suggested, would I want to use it as my studio?
決めてから
So once I decided to move, so I met
の得意
an
とする
architect who's really good at renovating these old buildings, and also a group and a designer who's creating and doing branding in Akita area.
1ヶ月の家賃が3
The rent is 30,000 yen
た
a
くさん
month,
の不要物と崩れ始めている蔵の
and there was this storage area with useless things, and also the wall was really damaged. The plastered wall was totally damaged, and the tatami under the tatami in the
それをコンクリートの床にする
storage,
作業はかなり
we had to create a concrete floor, and that was hard work because it was soil and stones. And also the entrance area,
夏と冬
I
のスタイルを
changed this old aluminum sash door
開け
for, I just made it in a big glass sliding door so that we can use in summer and winter. And we also created a really nice shop front.
冬には二重の構えになるように
So
内側に
for the winter, we've got double sash doors with a shoji door.
総工費は約
It
570万円
cost us about 5.7 million yen
それと消防関係の
plus 1.5 million yen for to make it as a hostel for fire brigades.
スタート資金を入れて1000万
So I took a loan over 10 million yen as a startup funding.
町からの
And we also had local government support,
企業補助金が出て
and the grant was 2 million yen.
また借入金の
And also another grant that's a free interest grant from the local government as well. So we decided, all right, we can have a roof, rice, and a pencil. We could do anything. I can create and imagine anything. Then the COVID hit on the same year. So we were imagining a place for learning. So this is a place for people to get together. So it really hit us big time. And also this used to be an old shopping area. So it was really difficult to coordinate with this local community. But still, there were more people coming back to stay here, and we can have gatherings, events. We started having guests from abroad. So now we've got one building for a long stay style, to people to want to stay longer. Let's go to the next slide. And this hostel, there's Yabumae, so it's like a gathering place. So I had to find my own studio space. So about 5-minute walk distance, and there's and I found this place, Rokugo local government office, and they were looking for tenants to go in. So when I looked at the building, it was a great space, and also the location was fantastic. Inside the building, when I stepped in, it reminded me of East Berlin. Buildings that I saw, the design, the ceiling height, all of them sort of, this reminded me of these buildings in the East Berlin. So that was my inspiration when I started renovating. So there's great big space and also beautiful old furniture, and I can store all this great furniture, cutlery, crockery, books, and kimono, and also I can share this space with other creators. So we call it creators in residence now. So I want to expand it. So members who've lived in the area for a long time, and also there are people coming from Tokyo. So this project started. The core member of this project got together to kick off this project. So we want to push the funding, and also we want to make these plans into reality. So House of Togaku. So this is the sort of town oasis once I moved in the area. It used to be a house of a local government minister. And it's a cultural heritage. So the Sakamoto family lived here. And now the town is running this building. This style is unique to the area. And the garden. So the person who's managing the garden is him, Mr. Fujioka. So he's a gardener managing the garden, and I met him.
Wainai-san. すみません。もう時間がないので、次に移る必要があります。ちょっとフィニッシュしてください。すみません。
So let me just read this before I wrap up. So can you just move these slides, and thank you.
Okay. So that's tatami.
So this is tatami.
Tatami master there. Okay. So then はい、これが藁
So
の
this is a straw.
はい。そして、最後に
And
私の
before I
コレ
wrap
クシ
up,
ョンというのが、
this is my Anju collection.
これが私が着物を使って、
So
ロンドンで
this is my
作り上
work
げていた
I
デザイン
created in London using kimono.
そう、このこともここでまた続けたい
So I want
と
to
いうふうに思ってい
continue
ます。
this work here.
これからの暮らし方とか、
And from
旅の
now
やり
on,
方、クリエ
my
イターの
lifestyle,
いろいろなところで
everybody's lifestyle,
行
how
ってい
people
る戦
travel
争や
are changing
気
because
候
of the
変動
war and also
大きな
the
変化がいきなり始まることも
climate
そうなる。
change. So there is going to be more or bigger changes.
そんな中でもこの町に存在する匠たちの知恵や
But
技を少しでも日本以外からのクリエイターたちにも触れて
I
もらえ
really
る
want
よ
to
うな
spread the word and
できた
technique
らな
of
と
these masters and also
思っています。
knowledge of
そ
the
してこ
people
う
in
い
the
う細
area.
かな環境を
And in this really tough environment in this town, there has to be something that we can only do in this area. So I think that will be a unique point of artwork and work that we do in this
あり
area.
がとうございました。
ありがとうございました。